Here is a tutorial on how to complete assignment number 8, your graphing assignment when working in Excel. So I've gone ahead and logged on to Google Classroom, and let's just take a look at the assignment. So this is assignment 8, graphing assignment, and we're going to take a look at what it's asking. So graphs are used as a visual form to represent how data has been interpreted and analyzed. And different types of graphs lend themselves to representing different data more effectively. So for instance, we're going to be creating 3 different types of graphs. We're going to create a bar graph. This is really good when you're comparing maybe different expenses within a budget. A line graph is really great at showing the results or tracking change over time. And then a pie chart is awesome for showing the values that represent a whole set. So maybe you want to break down your percentage breakdown for your budget. That would be great to use a pie chart for that. One of the ways we are going to be evaluating you is to make sure that you have included the units of measurement for your X and Y axis, as well as labeling them below or to the side. So for instance, in your line chart, that would be, this is by year, and this would be by money or amount. As well as make sure you have a title that represents your information quick and efficiently. So sales by region, the first quarter, it tells me that this is sales by certain regions. So north, south, east, west, etc. So we are actually going to be using assignment number 5, budgeting scenarios. And we're going to use the data from that assignment to play around with the graphing feature in Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my graphing, or sorry, my assignment number 5 budget scenarios. And this is where we had 6 different types of scenarios. So the first one we're going to look at is actually North Shore travel. And I'm going to show you the different features you can play around with. So in order to insert a graph, we have to left click and drag over the data we want to use and have represented by our graph. Next, we're going to go up to Insert. And in Insert, we're going to go to Recommended Charts. In Recommended Charts, we're going to select All Charts. So for this assignment, you'll be using a column or bar, same thing, as well as a line graph and a pie chart. So this is where you find them. I'm going to go ahead and for this one, since for North Shore expenses, it's doing maybe by time, so quarters, so a yearly review. I think a line chart would be best for that. So I'm going to go ahead and select line. And I have all my different options up here of what I would like to use. I'm going to go ahead and let's say I like this one. This is the one I like. When I drag my cursor over top, it's going to kind of give me a preview of what that chart would look like. Since I want to represent this by time, I really think that at the very bottom on my x-axis should be the quarters, not necessarily the individual expenses. So when I put my cursor over top of here, it has that as an option. And this one I find is going to work better to represent my values that I already have. I'm going to go ahead, select this one, and then go OK. And it will insert it as is. And if you'll notice, there's 3 different tabs that pop up. So this is how we can edit our chart elements, as well as many different styles of the chart or aesthetics, the color scheme, etc., as well as any filters. So different types of information maybe we don't want to include, and different names, maybe our grid lines, etc. So let's go ahead and take a look right here. So when I click on chart elements, my axis, so we have to include our axis, maybe axis titles we also need to include, which we do, right? So this is going to be like yearly quarters, and this one's going to be like total sales amount. So we would have that selected. Chart title you need to have because we want to be able to write North Shore Travel as our title. Data labels, there's lots of other options you can have in here. But something like this is going to be extremely overwhelming, maybe not the most effective, so I might not include it. It's up to you. Your grid lines, I like to include my grid lines. I think it's easier for people to read. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm happy with that. I have my axes and I have my chart title. That's great. And that was under chart elements. The next feature we're going to look at is your style of chart. And I'd probably recommend doing maybe this one last. But it gives you some different options of adding some different aesthetics to your chart. The last one we're going to look at is the filters. So this one's really important. So right now with my current graph, I don't find it particularly useful. It doesn't tell me right away in a quick way what this graph is telling me about. So I think it's a little convoluted, and I'm going to take away some of these expenses. And maybe I just want to chart my totals. So what was my total expenses in quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4? That would be a really efficient, quick way to read all that information. So when I went ahead and clicked on this option right here, it allows me to deselect or select any type of data I want to include or I want to exclude. So I find all those expenses to be a bit much. I just really want to include my totals for every quarter. I have quarter 1, which I'd like to keep, quarter 2, 3, and 4, but maybe I don't want to put my total in there. I'm going to deselect that, and I'm going to go apply. So right away, we've taken that chart and our information, and we've gone ahead and it's made it a lot easier to read. So I have my quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. I would still have to change my axis title, which is as simple as selecting on where it says axis title. And you can just type in what you want. Yearly quarter. Make sure you edit your title here. So maybe we'll title it total expenses. As well as a title at the top. And then this would be a complete assignment on what I need to see for you playing with the different graphing features in Excel. So this would be your line chart. The other ones I'm just going to show you real quick that lend themselves well. Office expenses is really great for inserting a bar graph. And once again, you could do it by the quarter, you could do it by the individual expense. It's up to you. If you're wanting to compare how much you spend on different expenses themselves, I would maybe go with the expense. That would be a good one. So that's one thing you could do, and then you're going to play around with the same features. So make sure you include a title for your x-axis as well as your y and a chart title. Any type of data that you maybe want to exclude or include, you can select on your chart filters. So office expenses is great for a bar graph. And then your time card, it really lends itself well to a pie chart. So once again, you can highlight the information you want to include, go up to insert, recommended charts, all charts, and go to pie. We have lots of different options here. And you can play around with your editing features as well. So that is how you complete assignment number 8. You are going to be creating 3 different charts, and remember, I need you to label your x-axis, your y, as well as a chart title.